Right now, as you watch this, air raid sirens are sounding in Tel Aviv. The Israeli Defense Forces have confirmed multiple waves of ballistic missiles launched from Iran toward Israel. The first wave hit northern Israel. At least 2 missiles fired, one struck in open area. Megan David Adam reported no injuries. The second wave triggered sirens across Tel Aviv and central Israel. A third launch has been detected. The IDF's air defense systems, Iron Dome, Arrow, David Sling, are active and intercepting. But the IDF issued a public statement that every Israeli has now memorized from living through this before. The defense is not hermetic. Not hermetic. That phrase means some will get through. It is not a failure of the system. It is an honest acknowledgement of the mathematics of missile defense. And understanding those mathematics, what Iran is launching, what Israel can stop, and what happens when something lands, is the most important thing you can know right now. Iran's retaliatory strike today is named Operation True Promise 3, the third in a sequence that began with True Promise 1 in April 2024 and True Promise 2 in October 2024. Both of which targeted Israel following Israeli military actions that Iran characterized as acts of war. The pattern across those 2 prior operations tells you what to expect today. In April 2024, Iran launched approximately 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 120 ballistic missiles toward Israel. 99% intercepted, minimal damage, no Israeli deaths. In October 2024, Iran launched approximately 200 medium-range ballistic missiles in at least 2 waves, around 3/4 intercepted, with roughly 50 reaching Israeli territory, causing damage to the Nevatim and Tel Aviv air bases. 1 Palestinian killed by debris in the West Bank, 1 Israeli civilian dead from a stress-induced heart attack. In the 12-day war in June 2025, Iran launched 525 ballistic missiles and approximately 1,000 drones at Israel. About 90% intercepted, 50 to 60 struck Israeli territory, 28 Israelis killed. Each successive Iranian attack has been more sophisticated than the last. The October 2024 attack, compared to April 2024, used faster and harder to intercept medium-range ballistic missiles rather than slower-moving drones and cruise missiles, specifically to saturate Israel's defense systems. The June 2025 attack added volume, more than 1,000 drones as a lower layer to occupy Israeli intercept capacity, while ballistic missiles came in above. Today's attack is the 4th iteration of this playbook. Iran's missile engineers have spent 2 years studying the interception data from the prior 3. They know what got through, and they know what didn't. The specific missiles Iran has used in prior operations, Fatah 1, Khaybar Shikan, Imad, Ghadar 110, have warheads ranging from 500 to 1,000 kilograms. The Khaybar Shikan, which Iran deployed in the June 2025 12-day war, was specifically designed to defeat hardened shelters. Its name in Persian means castle breaker. The Fatah 1 and Fatah 2 are hypersonic, meaning they maneuver during flight in ways that make them significantly harder to intercept than a standard ballistic missile on a predictable arc. Israel's Arrow 3 system is the only Israeli defense rated for the upper tier of ballistic interception. The U.S. SM-3 systems aboard Navy destroyers are its primary backup. In June 2025, 2 U.S. destroyers fired 12 interceptors at Iranian missiles headed to Israel. That number is not unlimited. The defense is not hermetic is a phrase IDF statements use every single time Iran fires at Israel. It is precise bureaucratic language for a human reality that is very hard to watch. In the June 2025 12-day war, 525 ballistic missiles launched, approximately 90% intercepted. That means approximately 50 to 60 reached Israeli territory. 8 of those 50 to 60 caused civilian deaths. The Iranian missile attacks killed 28 people, 27 civilians, one off-duty soldier at home with his family. 3,238 Israelis were hospitalized. 240 buildings were destroyed. 13,000 Israelis were displaced from their homes. One hospital was damaged. 2 universities were struck. The 90% interception rate sounds like a success story. For the 10%, it is not a statistic. It is a residential building in Tel Aviv with a missile-shaped hole in it. It is a power station in southern Israel on fire. It is an oil refinery in Haifa. It is 28 funerals. The first confirmed casualty from today's waves came from the West Bank, a Palestinian man killed by debris from an intercepted missile in a prior Iranian attack. No Israeli deaths have been confirmed as of this writing. That can change in the next 5 minutes. The IDF confirmed that at least 2 missiles struck northern Israel in the first wave. One hit an open area. The second wave is now being intercepted over central Israel and Tel Aviv. A third launch has been detected. While Iran's missiles are heading toward Israel, American forces are simultaneously striking Iran. The delivery mechanism is worth understanding because it reveals the scale of the U.S. operation. 3 U.S. officials confirmed to NBC News that the United States is firing Tomahawk cruise missiles from U.S. Navy ships into Iran. The Tomahawk Block V is a precision-guided subsonic cruise missile with a range of approximately 1,000 miles and a 1,000-pound conventional warhead. It is launched from surface ships and submarines, meaning the 2 carrier strike groups in the region, the USS Gerald R. Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln, are not the primary strike platform for the Tomahawks. The Tomahawks are coming from the destroyer and escort ships of both carrier groups, as well as potentially from submarines operating in the region. The U.S. is attacking by air and sea simultaneously, according to 2 U.S. officials. A large array of fighter jets is involved, according to one of the officials. The other confirmed the U.S. is targeting military and security targets in Iran. The combined operation, U.S. Tomahawks and air-launched munitions plus Israeli Air Force strikes, is what created the simultaneous explosion reports across Tehran, Qom, Isfahan, Karaj, Kermanshah, Hamadan, Tabriz, Elam, and Keshm. Each of those cities is not a single target. Each is a cluster of targets: missile launchers, storage facilities, ministry buildings, defense infrastructure, hit within the same operational window to prevent Iranian forces from repositioning between strikes. Acting Chief of Naval Operations James Kilby testified before the Senate earlier this month that the U.S. Navy is using missiles in the region at an alarming rate. The Tomahawk inventory is not infinite. The Arrow 3 interceptor inventory is not infinite. Iran knows both of those things. Here is the most important thing CNN reported in its live coverage today, and it is a sentence that must be read carefully. Trump said in his Truth Social video that Iran was developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. That is the stated justification for major combat operations, imminent threat to the American people. CNN's sources told it directly that assertion is not supported by U.S. intelligence. There is no intelligence, the sources said, that Iran would have soon a missile capable of hitting the United States. What Iran does have is short-range ballistic missiles that could threaten U.S. troops and military bases in the Middle East. That is a real and documented threat. The Al Udeid strike in June 2025 demonstrated it, and the missiles currently heading toward Israel demonstrate it again today. It is not the same threat to the American homeland. The legal significance of that distinction matters more than it might seem. Trump invoked the Commander-in-Chief's Article 2 authority to launch this operation without congressional authorization. The War Powers Resolution permits unauthorized military action to defend against an attack upon the United States, its territories or possessions, or its armed forces. U.S. troops in the Middle East fall within armed forces. That is a defensible legal predicate for the operation. But the public justification Trump used, missiles that could soon reach the American homeland, is not supported by the U.S. intelligence community's own assessment, according to CNN sources. The legal justification and the public justification are not the same argument. That discrepancy is now in the congressional record. The international response to this morning's operation has been rapid and, in several cases, pointed. The British Embassy in Qatar issued a shelter-in-place advisory for British nationals out of an abundance of caution, citing heightened risk of regional tension and potential travel disruption. The U.S. Embassy in Bahrain and the U.S. Embassy in Qatar both issued shelter-in-place orders for all personnel and recommended all Americans in those countries do the same. Qatar is hosting the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East on its soil, and it explicitly asked the United States not to attack Iran. Its airspace, its diplomats, and its population are now inside the blast radius of the regional conflict it tried to prevent. Iran's Tasnim news agency reported that major Iranian news agencies, including the state news agency IRNA, are facing cyber attacks, consistent with the pattern from June 2025, when Israeli and U.S. cyber operations ran in parallel with kinetic strikes. The cyber component is designed to disrupt Iranian command and control communications, limit Iran's ability to coordinate its retaliatory launches, and suppress domestic information flow inside Iran during the strikes. Iran's state television is still broadcasting. Its anchors are describing the retaliation against Israel as underway. Iranian Member of Parliament Ibrahim Azizi posted on X the same line he issued this morning. "We warned you. Now you have started down a path whose end is no longer in your control." That phrase, "no longer in your control," is the Iranian government's strategic communication to both the American public and the Trump administration. It is a claim that the escalation ladder has been kicked away and what remains is a free fall. Whether that is posture or prediction is the question that will define the next 48 to 72 hours. 4 times now, Iran has launched large-scale missile and drone attacks at Israel. The historical pattern across those 4 operations offers a framework, imperfect and incomplete, but documented. April 2024, 300-plus weapons launched, 99% intercepted, minimal damage, no Israeli deaths. Iran's envoy said the attack can be deemed concluded. Israel responded with a limited strike on an Iranian radar facility. Outcome, de-escalation within 72 hours. October 2024, 200 ballistic missiles launched, roughly 75% intercepted, 50 missiles reached Israeli territory, 1 Israeli civilian dead of a heart attack, 1 Palestinian killed by debris. Netanyahu called it a big mistake. Israel struck Iranian air defense and missile production facilities. Outcome, de-escalation within 1 week. June 2025, the 12-day war. 525 ballistic missiles and 1,000 drones launched, 90% intercepted, 28 Israelis killed, 3,238 hospitalized, 13,000 displaced. The U.S. struck 3 Iranian nuclear facilities on June 22. Iran retaliated against Al Udeid. Ceasefire declared June 24 under U.S. pressure. Outcome, ceasefire held for 8 months, until this morning. The pattern shows Iran calibrating each strike to be larger and harder to intercept than the last, while simultaneously keeping civilian casualties low enough to avoid triggering the kind of Israeli response that would escalate into a ground war. It also shows Israel and the U.S. ultimately accepting a ceasefire rather than pursuing regime change through air power alone. The question today is whether that pattern still holds, or whether the major combat operations framing, the regime change rhetoric, and the planning for several days of continued strikes represents a genuine departure from the prior de-escalation cycle.